What is a time division multiple access? As I have told you that each earth station take a turns transmitting a burst. That means they are going to transmit the data in the form of packets. Alright, a group of packets, right, of RF signal through a transponder. Each and every users have a same frequency, but they are allowed to communicate for a specific time slot in time division multiple access, in which all the practical TDMA systems are digital, right? In TDMA, which is a RF multiple access techniques that allows a single transponder to be shared in time slot. Okay? And in the RF carrier, from each earth station which sharing a transponder, they are going to transmit the data in the form of packet, but for a specific time interval. So over here, time synchronization is required, right? Because each earth station should have to ensure that all the packets should arrive sequentially. Alright, that's why the timing synchronization is required. Now, what do you mean by synchronization? As the earth station is operating in the TDMA network, they must transmit their packet in timing sequence. They need to maintain a specific time slot, alright, so that it can reach to the destination or to the satellite in the correct sequence. That's why a synchronization is required. For that, what we need to do is one earth station is designated as a master station, and it may generate a reference burst. Why? Because it defines the start of the frame, end of the frame, and it also contains the basic information related to the specific earth station. That means this data is coming from this earth station. Okay? And each earth station within the network has a specific time slot within the frame. That means they must need to maintain their transmission for specific time slot, right? Apart from that, as the guard band is there in the TDMA, over here the guard line is required at each and end of the earth stations first. Alright? To define the accuracy as well as to overcome the burst timing error. Right? Now, what is a satellite switch TDMA? Over here, if we are not going to use a single antenna to maintain the continuous communication, then what we need to do is we are simply using the antenna which covers the entire zone, and also we can use two different antenna which cover a specific zone. Alright, so that I can transmit my signal to the longer distance. If the directivity of my antenna is very narrow, so my signal can travel up to a certain long distance. But if the directivity is going to be less, that means my beam width is going to be broad, then my directivity is going to decrease, because we know that beam width is inversely proportional to the directivity. As beam width is going to be increased, my directivity is going to be decrease, and based on that my signal will not reach to a certain distance. Alright? So a narrow beam antenna which has a higher gain. We are not using a single antenna that covers the entire zone. What we are using? We are using an antenna which have a specific coverage zone. That means they need to transmit in specific direction only. Alright. So what is the impact of using a small antenna? That means a narrow antenna which covers a small coverage zone. The first one is it will increase the satellite layer. A stands for effective isotopic radiated power. That means how much power is going to be reached at the end. It is a product of transmitted power and the gain of transmitting layer that we have already discussed in the chapter number 8. Alright. So ultimately we are going to increase the capacity of downlink. Alright. This is the use of satellite switch PDA. And these uplink signals which are going to be received by satellites are demodulated. Why? Because we need to demodulate that signal at the downlink side. Alright? And we need to ensure that all the packets should arrive at specific time slot. So the synchronization is must. This is the example of satellite switch TDMA, in which you can see that there are two antennas which have a small coverage zone. Alright. Over here, three beams are there: west beam, central beam, and the east beam. Alright. So what does it mean? As these signals in the form of packets are going to be transmitted to the satellite, right? So this 1, 2, 3 over for transmitting a station A. Similarly for packet 1, 2, 3, 4 for a station B. For 1, 2, 3, 4 for a station C. Likewise for central beam or station 1, 2, 3, and for the east beam, in which it has a 3 earth station 1, 2, 3, right? So they are going to transmit the data in the form of packets. So this group of packets should be reached at the destination, or you can say at the satellite, in the specific sequence, right? So how to maintain that sequence? The sequence is going to be maintained with the help of synchronization. Apart from that, which packet is coming from which earth station? So it is going to be identified by a reference bus. That means in the reference bus, it indicates that this packet is coming from this earth station from this way. Alright. Now what are the advantages of TDA? First, it has a flexible bit rate. Over here, a no frequency guideband is required. Apart from that, we don't need any narrowband filters. Why? Because each and every users have same frequency slots, right? Same frequency band, but they need to communicate for a specific time slot, right? And apart from that, it has an extended battery life because the components are going to be reduced, so overall battery life will going to be extended. And this is the most cost effective technology for upgrading a current analog system, right? Because nowadays we are going to use a digital system. So in digital system we are going to use a time division multiple access. Alright. Now what are the disadvantages? Disadvantages are, first, it required a timing synchronization because each and every packet should reach to a destination for a specific time interval only. Otherwise it is going to be lost and it will cause a loss of my data. So timing synchronization is must in TDMA. Second, it requires a high peak power on the uplink. Why? Because it is going to reach to a satellite. If the power is not sufficient, then it won't reach to a satellite. It is going to be lost in the atmosphere because of the different layers of atmospheres are there, and due to the different layers, message is going to be absorbed in the atmosphere. We have already discussed the loss, atmospheric loss, atmospheric loss, rate attenuation in the earlier chapters, right? Now, what is on-board processing? In which we are basically using a bent pipe transponder. Why? Because it simply amplifies a signal which is received from the earth and it will retransmit it back to the earth station. Why? Because as we receive the signal from the earth station, that power is very small. So that signal is going to be amplified and again retransmitted back to the earth station, right? So that type of transponder is known as a bent pipe transponder. But what is the disadvantage of bent pipe transponder? The disadvantage is it is not well suited for the uplink from the small earth station. Why? Because we are going to use a different frequency band. Like for satellite communication, earlier we were using C band and X band, but nowadays we are going to use K band, KB band and Ka band, right? But for this bent pipe transponder, it is not suited for the transponder which is going to be operated on the Ka band, right? So the solution is we are going to use a baseband processing transponder. That means on-board processing, right? Secondly, it has a receiver and the transmitter similar to those found in the earth station, in which an on-board processor means what? It has a transmitter and the receiver, the same place, okay? That was the same as the earth station. That means a received signal from the uplink is converted to the IF frequency, right? Why? Because it means I am going to down convert my signal, right? Because my uplink frequency is higher than the downlink frequency. So what I need to do is I need to down convert my uplink frequency and then I am going to retransmit back to the downlink earth station. Alright? So that we are able to demodulate and recover the original baseband signal, right? Secondly, the baseband signal is going to be modulated on the carrier at the downlink frequency and which are going to be transmitted back to the earth station. So what are the advantages? The advantages is the uplink and downlink signal format need not to be the same. Alright? Because if the carrier to noise power ratio of the uplink and downlink which are same, then we are not able to find that whether it is for uplink or downlink. So the carrier to noise ratio of uplink and downlink are not tied together. Alright? Through a reciprocal formula we have discussed that carrier to noise power ratio for uplink and downlink in chapter number 8. Alright? So we are able to allow the uplink and downlink signal separation. And we are able to use a current modulation method. So it will allow for a flexible error correction. Okay? Now, as I have told you, the demand assigned multiple access means what? I am going to assign whether it is frequency or the time based on the requirement, based on the demand which I am getting from the users. Otherwise, I am not going to assign it. So it is called a demand access, demand assigned multiple access or demand access multiple access. Alright? So it can be used in satellite communication link where a traffic from an earth station is intermittent. That means I am going to assign the frequency and time based on the requirement of the users. alright. And when my traffic is, my network is two traffic is there, alright. For that I am going to use a demand access multiple access. So this demand access allows satellite channel to be allocated based on the user's demand. We are not assigning it continuously, but with increasing a numbers of users, in which makes the server to be busy in the system. So in single channel per carrier, that means SCPC FDMA system that use this demand assigned multiple access. That means available bandwidth of the transponder is not going to be fully assigned. It is going to be assigned based on the user's requirement. If my transponder bandwidth is 54 megahertz, so over here, what we need to do is, the first channel is the common signaling channel. Then from 2 to 899, these are my individual QPSK channels, and each and every channels are going to be separated by a 60 kilohertz channel spacing. Alright, it is my band gap, right? So the control packet is received by the hub or station and it's going to be decoded. Alright, after that it must contain what is the source address, it means from which earth station that I have received the packet, and to the which station that I need to transmit it back to the earth station. So destination address is there, and also it includes for the error correction, that is cyclic redundancy check. Alright, and it will measures the duration of connection in order to generate a billing data. Alright, because we need to ensure that there should be a connection time. It should be a minimum. Alright. Now the last topic of unit number 9 is the code differential multiple access. As I have told you earlier that in CDMA scheme, the number of users can occupy all of the transponder bandwidth, right? That means for a different, not for the different frequency and different time slot, we are going to assign a same frequency and the same time slot, but they are going to be identified by a unique code, right? So the CDMA signals are going to be encoded in such a way that information from the individual transmitter can be recovered by a specific receiver only. Alright? Why? Because that particular receiver has a specific code, and because of that code, that receiver is able to identify or decode that transmitted signal, right? So each receiving earth station is allocated a CDMA code that I have told you earlier, and for any transmitting station that wants to send the data to earth station must use a specific correct code, right? So this group of codes specifically have a 16 bits or to a many thousands of bits. So this group of bits that going to be used by a CDMA is called the chips, right? So in which the chip sequence modulates the data bit of my original message, and which increase the speed of my digital transmission. In CDMA, it is also known as a spread spectrum. Basically, there are direct sequence spread spectrum and frequency grouping spread spectrum is there, but in current type, the direct sequence spread spectrum is used in the satellite communication. So over here, unit number 9, that is satellite access, is finished. We have seen what is the need of multiple access, definition of multiple access, types of multiple access, onboard processor and satellite transponder. Alright, in chapter number 9. Still, if you have any question, you can ask me at any time on my below email ID. Till then, thank you for your attention.